Our doctrine, our teaching for this week, as we think about the story of the widow's giving and how Jesus noticed what she gives, is going to be about the seventh commandment and giving to church. So the seventh commandment, well, it's you shall not steal. And an explanation of what that means, because it's more than just not actually taking something from somebody, but you shall not steal. What does this mean? We should fear and love God that we do not take our neighbor's money or property or get it by dishonest dealing, but help him to improve and protect his property and means of income. Let me break that down. So God says do not steal, which means we want to handle our property and others' property correctly. And we do that not because we have to, but because of our relationship with God. We fear and love God, that leads us, knowing that God loves us in Jesus, to take care of our neighbor's stuff, not just our stuff, his money, his property. We want to trick him out of it. We don't want to do a bad deal, run a bad business, cheat him out of it. But instead, we look to bless him and make sure that not only his property, but the way he earns money, the way he takes care of a family is blessed. And really, if we follow God's way and we all do this, we'll all be blessed because then we'll have plenty to help take care of others. So that's the seventh commandment in meeting. And a couple applications. Now, how God gives us our stuff, it's not really ours because God gives it to us. He does it through parents. You know, that when we're little kids, we don't have anything, but our parents or grandparents or adults that take care of us, they give us everything. We get gifts throughout our lifetimes, different presents you might think of, but also maybe significant gifts or inheritances that we get. And then even your abilities. If God has made you smart or strong or skilled, whatever you earn through work is really also a gift of God through your abilities. Now, what does God, who's given us all our stuff, how does he ask us to use it? Well, you could say it in different ways, but here's some different categories that God says you need to use your money for this. So you need to love your family. Take care of your family, feed your kids, take care of your parents when they're older, help your brothers and sisters when they're struggling. Our money, our possessions are for that. We need to love our family. But it's also for the needy. People we're not related to that are just in a tough time. We want to help them in a real way. It doesn't just mean throwing money at them, but we want to use our abilities and gifts and resources to help people who truly can't help themselves. We also need to pay taxes. We don't get to choose that, but we do. God says support the government. Even if we're not happy with everything and we don't like being taxed, I don't know who does. But you do it because that is the government that God set up. And then finally, you get to choose how much you give to sharing the gospel. That can be in a personal, direct way, or maybe it's through your church. But you figure out what I'm going to do. And you use your money and possessions for those four things. You also can use it for some other things like fun or other things like that. But if you can't take care of those four things, then you don't have any money for anything else. You need to do those four. All because Jesus has loved us first by giving us everything. Now, when it comes to giving to church, the Bible gives us lots of different directions. And you can look up all those passages, but I'm going to summarize it for you. God says when it comes to giving to him, it needs to be planned. It's a regular thing that you sit down and think through. You don't do it accidentally. You don't do it by what's in your pocket. You don't do it because somebody else tells you. You think it through, and on purpose you give to God. And you do it because God has given to you first, and it's a joy to be able to be part of God's kingdom spreading. So you give what you want to, not because somebody makes you. And finally, it's a percentage. It's based upon what you earn. Now, you don't have to give 10%, which is called tithing. That could be. But based upon how much you make in your situation, it might be 30, 40, 100%. Or maybe it's 2%. But you determine that. God doesn't lock us in this New Testament time. But normally, if you're like me, I probably undergive what I could give. I need to continue to work on that, but it needs to be percentage and not think about my fair share, but a percentage of what God has given me. And so consider the seventh commandment and be blessed in all your possessions.